Welcome to Beyond Business Barriers, powered by insights, driven by strategy, and yes, assisted by AI. I'm your host, Roy MacEwen, and today's episode is part of a special series where we sit down with industry leaders to dig into what's working, what's not, and what the future holds. I'm excited to have Joe joining me today. Joe, glad to have you here. Let's kick things off with a quick intro. Can you tell us who you are and where our listeners can find you online?
Well, I'm easy to find online, so I'll start with that. LinkedInJoe.com is the easiest way to find me online. You just go to LinkedInJoe.com and there's my LinkedIn profile. That's an easy way to find me. I am a dad of three, an entrepreneur, and a serial entrepreneur, but all in the same industry. So I keep, I've stayed in the MSP space for the last better part of almost 30 years. So that is who I am. I can tell you more if you want.
Oh, well, we'll get into that. I'm going to dig deeper here. All right, then. For our listeners, here's how our podcast will go today. We'll start with some of Joe's background, some shifts he's seeing in the industry. Then we'll dig into current priorities and challenges. And finally, we'll look ahead where things are going and how you're preparing for what's next and what the future holds. Well, we may as well start at the top, Joe. Let's go a little deeper with your role at Start, Grow, Manage, and how does it connect to the bigger vision you're working towards?
Great. So the bigger vision that we're working toward is helping managed service providers. And for those of you who don't know what a managed service provider, that's an IT company that services small businesses. So if you own a small business and you have your IT guy, they're what's known as an MSP. And so my mission in life is to have those folks live an extraordinary life, work less, and make more money. And I was an MSP for 20 years. I lost my first marriage to being an MSP and my relationship with my daughter for a bunch of years until I managed to repair that. And it's a business that will suck the life out of you. It runs 24/7. It is, if a customer comes in and their servers aren't working or they can't access the internet or something is not happening, you're always on call, you're always on drive. So how do you build a business that can run without you and gives the people in the business an extraordinary life? That's what my life is about. That's what I care about.
I could agree that that's something that I would love to work towards, and it's the betterment of others
Yeah.
through what we've learned in life. Now, if I was to watch you for a day, Joe, what would I see your day-to-day activities?
It depends on which day you watched me.
Well, pick one. Pick a good day.
All right. So, I'll tell you what a couple of different days look like. If you were to watch me on a Monday, you would watch me spend most of my day with my staff doing one-on-ones and making sure that they're getting what they need for themselves and their lives. So Mondays is usually the day where I spend, at least a half an hour with each staff person working on their goals, vision, mission, values, whatever it is that they're up to, really trying to understand what their role is inside of our company now and what it could be. What's the potential that's there? So out of those meetings have come a couple of department heads. We actually spawned off a whole nother company that's led by the person that used to be my administrative assistant, right? And like there's all this opportunity, and we often miss the opportunities in others because we don't take the time to really find out who they are. So that's what my Mondays are like. Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays are delivery days. So those are days that I spend speaking to our customers, um, prospecting, speaking to our partners, really trying to understand the business, the space better, the technical space, the MSP space, trying to understand it better. And Fridays, my favorite thing to do. So I do a sales training on Friday, and I do a technical training on Friday, and that's every other Friday. And then on the alternate Friday, I get to go hang out with one of our clients. And that is the best day. So you asked me to talk about the best day. That is the best day. The days that I get to hang out with one of our clients, see what's happening inside their business, see what could be better, how they could improve this or that thing. Those are awesome days. So that gives you kind of different days, different feels. If you want to do a deep dive on any of those, I'm happy to.
Well, Friday is Joe Day. We'll know it as that.
That is right.
All right. So you mentioned before you work primarily with managed service providers. What's been shifting in that world lately that's really caught your attention?
So back in the old days, when I started in the MSP space, if you knew technology, that was enough. You understood technology, you knew how it worked. Nobody else knew how it worked. So you could come, you were like a wizard. You came in and it was like you were doing magic. And it didn't matter how simple you plugged a mouse in. And it was like, oh my God, you made 2 computers talk. Oh, that's incredible. Like everything was like magical, right? It was great. Now, you know, a 20-something-year-old will receive their computer, open it, set it up themselves, connect it to the Wi-Fi themselves, join a SaaS application themselves, do like that. All the things that you used to do that were like the things that made you mad, they're not magical anymore. So what's happened in the managed services space over the last, I'm going to say really 10 years, is that they've gone from wizards to janitors. Cybersecurity and maintaining things and, curating office and all of that stuff. You've gone from being like the most important person in the room to the person that's like, can you do it for less? Can you make that cheaper? Right. And it's become so commoditized. And so the opportunities to go from MSP to BSP, to business solutions provider, to start to understand what are the business problems that you solve. What I see with a lot of MSPs today is that they're not focused on that. They are focused on uh, and I'm going to use some industry language. They're focused on their stack, which is all the software that they sell. And they've essentially become salespeople for the software companies. And they make a little percentage and they make a little money on top of that. And then it's a high volume, low return business. And there's an opportunity. So mostly managed service providers, they charge by seat per person, right? So on average in New York, it'll go anywhere from $45 a seat to about $300 a seat, right? So you can see there's a problem there already. There's no standardized pricing, right? But I have clients that are charging $1,500 a seat. Well, why? Because they're offering real business advice that customers are willing to pay for. If you come in and solve a problem that helps my business make another $1 million, I'm happy to pay you $1,500 a seat. But to be able to do that, you have to. So the shift that I see in the industry, to get to the root of your question, is that you have to switch from a tactical role to a strategic role. And if you don't make the shift, you're going to go way of the dinosaur.
Yeah, I noticed I've heard you use the term before, technical trap, the technician trap.
Yeah.
Sorry. What's the first mindset shift that you need to make to start seeing themselves as a true business owner?
You have to stop trying to fix the problem yourself.
That's that's an easy solution, Joe. That's it.
Yeah. See, it's not an easy solution. I
No,
know it
it's
took,
not.
took me about 6 years the first time that I figured this out. And every new technology that came out, I wanted to know what it was. I wanted to know how it works. I was fascinated by technology. And most MSPs, they're technicians at heart. They were originally a technician, not a business person. They were a technician. So they came into the space knowing and being technical. And the first mindset shift you have to make is you have to go from being a technician to being a business owner. And when you're a business owner, you have to orchestrate the people that solve the problem, but you can't be the one that solves the problem. Because if you're solving the problem, you're not running the business. And you can't do both. You can either solve the problem or run the business. But if you're doing both, you're in pain. A lot of pain. And it's where I find most MSPs when they start with us, they're in a lot of pain.
So, in regards to that, let's talk about bottlenecks. What's one operational choke point that keeps showing up when MSP owners try to scale?
Oh, good googly. I could give you I could give you a bunch of those. So the biggest complaints MSPs have when I look at them is, well, if I had enough leads, right? But then if they get 2 clients at the same time, they can't onboard them, right? So onboarding is broken. So one of the big operational choke points is standardization and process. Really having a process for doing everything exactly the same. And the reason why most MSPs can't do things exactly the same is because they work with all different kinds of clients, right? They are not industry specific for the most part. Oh, they call themselves agnostic MSPs, right? And agnostic basically means I don't know which one to choose. So whoever gives me money, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
Right? And so one of the operational choke points is that you can't create a process if every single client is different. If you want to create a process, the clients have to be the same because it's that having the same clients over and over again that gives you the ability to create a consistent, repeatable process.
That's broken down pretty good. I like that. Even I related to that. So I know you're technical, but you're also a numbers guy too. So when you look at the numbers, what metrics or indicators are you tracking most closely right now? What's getting your spotlight?
Well, are you talking about for my business or are you talking about for the MSP space?
Oh, well, from your business, from your business.
Um, so from my business, I think that right now, CAC is one of the number one things that I'm tracking, the cost of client acquisition, right? So, and I'm, depending on the program that you're with us, it's anywhere between $500 or even I have a $97 product that we'll talk about later to, you can pay up to $20,000 a month. So it depends on what product it is or what product set it is that you're getting from us. So if I'm going to get, let's just put a $2,500 a month client, that's a $30,000 a year client. How much am I willing to spend? Right. So I'm willing to spend a third in marketing. So I'm willing to spend $10,000 to acquire one client. And sometimes I do.
Well, you have to.
Right? And sometimes I do. So, but the thing that people don't understand with that is like, well, you're gonna do $30,000, in that year, and you're gonna spend $10,000 to acquire that client. That doesn't seem fair. Well, the question you have to ask yourself is, what is the LTV? What's the lifetime value of the client? If the lifetime value is 3 years, $90,000, and it costs you $10,000 to acquire that client, you do that all day.
Exactly.
Somebody said, look, I'm going to
Uh,
give you $90,000 if you give me $10,000,
yeah,
right?
there's a no-brainer.
So, so
It's
most businesses don't understand CAC. They don't understand the cost of acquisition. And they're not willing to spend the money to acquire clients. And then they say, well, we're not getting any clients. Well, you're not getting any clients because you're not spending the money required to acquire that client.
Mhm.
And so that's one of the numbers that I'm really mindful of. The other one that directly impacts the same thing as NPS, right? The Net Promoter Score. So if my Net Promoter Score drops below 90, I need to know, well, why are my clients unhappy? My clients are unhappy, it's going to mess with my lifetime value, right? Of the client. So if my LTV goes down, that means that I spend $10,000 to get a client. If they leave in 5 months, I don't make my money back.
So that allows you to, like, in certain areas, you're going to double down, and then allows you to rethink others, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people are focused on a bunch of different numbers. If you just focus on those two things, what does it cost me to acquire a client? And how do I keep them happy once I get them? Just those two things, right? You can put some other metrics around it, but if you just focus on those two things, you'll build a pretty profitable business.
Well, speaking about profitability, let's keep into the positive. What's working really well right now, Joe? Any surprise wins or bets that have paid off?
One of the surprise wins for us was we're getting some really great results from Instagram advertising. We had no idea that that was going to happen. So it was a real surprise win. We're running some ads, and in some cases, the cost of acquisition is like $25, $30 to get a client to buy a $500 or $2,000 product. We've got the $2,000 product. We got it down to about $60 in cost of client acquisition, which is pretty freaking cool.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's pretty cool. But that was very surprising. Didn't see it coming, didn't understand it, still don't. We're still running the analytics and trying to understand, how we do it better. But like it just it's because we try different things, and we go through different, and we really thought our audience has got to be on LinkedIn, and we had spent all this money on LinkedIn and done all this work on LinkedIn and done all these outreach and all this stuff on LinkedIn, and then we ran some ads on Insta, and people are buying the product on their own without even talking to us, and we're like, what is happening?
And how do we duplicate that?
Exactly. And so that's what all the marketing meetings are dominated by these days.
Now, you're a new and old school tech guy.
Yeah.
So, or even some of your daily habits that you've been able to create over the last few years. Anything that's made your work easier or more effective lately? Something that's just popped out and said, "Oh, I can utilize that."
Um, I know this is going to be a pain in the butt, but I'm going to ask you to ask me that question. Same question. I just want it in a different way. If you thought about that question differently, what's the outcome we're trying to produce for the listener?
What would work for that?
Cool. So,
Or me.
okay, good. So that's good. So that helps me. So I'm going to talk about some technology stuff. You said I'm an old school and a new school guy, right?
Yeah.
So some technology stuff and some not technology stuff. So I came so I came through up as a technician through the military. So, and mostly I was a component level technician, not a computer technician. So not very fast on the typing. You know, I like writing everything. The problem with writing everything is that then finding my notes is a pain in the butt, right? So one of the things that really has saved my bacon is switching to a tablet, right? So I have a tablet where I keep all my notes. So here I'm keeping my notes of our conversation today. As we go along, I'm writing stuff down, and then I can take this and either convert it to text right on the tablet, or I can just send it to my secretary because she just needs the notes. She actually doesn't care whether it's text or not. She's pretty good at reading my handwriting. My handwriting is not completely horrible. It's
It falls into the legible
it falls into the
category.
legible
Yeah.
category. It's my grammar is not very good, but but it falls into the legible because she knows what I mean by what's in there, and if she has any questions, she'll usually send me a message. But this was a game changer for me because I used to have to like keep notes and take pictures and send pictures, and it was a lot of time wasting. And from here, I can just hit send and send her the message right on Teams. And she's got the note right away, right after the meeting. She can update the CRM, she can update whatever. So I can go from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, write all my notes by hand, get them over to her, and she updates the CRM or does whatever needs to do. And I don't care if the note, the PDF note, gets attached directly to the CRM thing. I just need the information in the CRM. I don't need it to be fancy. A
Mhm.
lot of people get caught up on that. It has to be transcribed and it has to be typed and it has to be. No, it just needs to be in the CRM. If somebody has a question, one of our salespeople has a question, they can call me.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's legible. You're going to understand most of it, and you're going to get the gist of what the conversation is. So that's one thing. The other thing that's been a real game changer is using AI as a thought partner. I don't like to use AI as a content creator, but I do like using AI as a thought partner. So, and I think that if you're going to use AI as a thought partner, you should, one, buy the paid for version of whatever AI it is that you're using, and two, build agents, right? So I have an agent called Walter the Cranky Idea Checker. So if I have an idea, I have lots of ideas. If I have an idea, I give it to Walter. Walter's initial response always is, that sucks, and gets into an argument with me about why it sucks. My job is to convince Walter that it's a good idea. Now, in the beginning, Walter was very amenable. Within 4 or 5 minutes, I could convince Walter that it was a good idea. And then I kept making Walter a little bit tougher and a little bit tougher and a little bit tougher and a little bit tougher. Now it takes me 20 minutes to convince Walter that an idea is a good idea. Now, what that does is it helps me hash out my own thinking about the idea, look at perspectives that I had no idea about, right? Really think about, oh, I want to sell this new product, and it's like, no, it's a terrible idea. Well, why? Because you're going to have to create a new marketing campaign. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. It's going to disrupt you. It's going to be a shiny thing. It's going to be a distraction. And I'm like, no, Walter, but I really want to do it. And it's like, Walter's like, I don't care if you want
Mm.
to, right?
So it's an in-depth debating.
It's an in-depth debating, and that in-depth debating allows you to formulate I think one of the most important things that human beings could do is learn how to think,
Mm.
right? If you can learn how to think effectively. So using AI as a thought partner is a very, very great thing, right? And so the same thing, I have one we created a bot that helps you practice your sales conversation, right? And you could actually, if you have the app on your phone, you can just do it in a conversation. You could do it as a role play. So you
Mhm.
tell it, here's my product, here's who my ideal client is. You are my ideal client, and I'm going to try and sell you this product. And your job is to be mildly interested, but mostly you want to get back to work.
Yeah.
And so we give it the scenario, and then you use it to practice and practice and practice and practice. So I think using AI as a thought partner is a phenomenal way to really improve your own skill set as a business person, right? Um, you just got to be leery of using AI as a content creator because it does hallucinate a lot and it does make things up. I got caught in a trap a couple of weeks ago. I was creating some scripts and the scripts sounded great. The problem is that the case studies in the scripts were not true. So I actually recorded a couple of videos, and then when we were going through them in marketing, it was like, hey, that stuff doesn't sound like it's right. Is that? I was like, oh yeah, no, that was made up by AI. I says, yeah, we can't use any of this stuff, right? Because I got so caught up in the hype. And it's easy to get caught up in the hype. Good. So I think so. That and calendaring. Calendaring is the other thing that I think is super critical. And I know it's an old school kind of thing, but time
I, I'm
blocking.
I'm dependent upon it.
Yeah. So time blocking, categorizing your calendar. So we have about 8 different colors that are the different categories of the calendar. So I could look at my calendar and know what I absolutely have to do. I know what is a reminder. I know what is a personal to do. I know what is just by looking at the colors on the calendar. And that what that does for my admin person that helps me manage my calendar is when she looks at it, she knows what can be moved, what can't be moved, it just gives her an easy way to understand, like when she's looking at it, even though my calendar is slammed, and if you look at my calendar, it makes your eyes bleed. But
No, I know.
it,
Just close them.
yeah,
Just close them
yeah,
works for me.
yeah, so, but even though there is a bunch of stuff on there, there's a lot of empty space because it's just the way that we lay out, we reserve empty time for different things. And then if an important appointment comes up or something like that comes up, but the problem is if you don't take the time to think about what you're going to do, then you'll do nothing. So it's important to, even in the empty space in your calendar, to think about, well, what am I going to do with that empty space? What can I work on? What is mission critical right now? What is my leader's intent for this next 6 months? And how do I build in time to deliver on the leader's intent?
Because I know for years I was in that situation, and I swore that when people didn't know how to utilize their time, it's like, let's have a meeting to discuss what we're going to do at the next meeting. And that's exactly what I used to look, and I used to have this look on my face of like, wow, I'm pretty sure we could find a lot more things to
Yeah,
discuss
yeah,
right now.
it's a lot
Let's
more.
prioritize here, and no, but it's yeah, let's have a meeting to discuss the next meeting,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's all I used to get out of it. So, well, with that in mind, I have something to do and I have something to talk to you about. Let's talk a couple of minutes now and talk about your up and coming event. What's coming up on Joe's schedule? You have a special
Cool.
event coming up.
I do have a special event coming up, and we just did a little bit of chatting about AI, and one of the things about it all the time that I hear, especially for MSPs, is, oh, you have to use AI to run your business, and you have to add AI, and you have to keep doing AI and AI and AI and AI and AI and AI and AI. But you know what nobody's talking to MSPs about? How to make money with AI, right? And so we put together this event, you know, uh, how MSPs deliver MRR. So, as you know, we love MRR, monthly recurring revenue, right? So, how do MSPs deliver MRR, generating AI solutions that clients want? And so that's what the event that we put together. And it's going to be a full day of AI at Villanova. We have Microsoft coming in to show you how to do one of the things that I was talking about earlier was that you could build an AI agent to help you do something, right? So you could build an AI agent to answer your email, and it reads all your email and it answers all the email, puts it in your drafts, and then you can just go through and review those emails and see if they're good to send, and then you can send them, right? You could build an AI agent to answer questions for your customers. You can build an AI agent to help you organize documents inside of your ecosystem. So right now, we interviewed this MSP who built an AI agent for lawyers that takes all of the prenups that they have ever written, puts them into a database, and then helps them write new prenups, and he charges $100 a month per attorney for hosting and managing that that AI engine for them. So there's a real opportunity to solve business problems for customers right now using artificial intelligence that MSPs are not taking advantage of. And the reason they're not taking advantage is because they say to themselves, well, I'm not an SME, I'm not a subject matter expert on AI, so how can I do that? And the interesting thing, we have two things happening that day. So Microsoft is coming to show you how to build the Copilot agents, and the other thing is that we have a panel, and one of the guys on the panel, he's not an AI expert, but he's built a whole business doing AI solutions for his clients. And what he does is he gets the specs from the clients, and then he tells the AI what the specs are, and it builds the software.
Yeah.
And then he delivers that software to the client. They're happy as all hell. And he doesn't know the first thing about programming. The AI is building the whole thing. Now, he has a developer that's checking the stuff to make sure that it's okay, but he's just getting the requirement. And he can do everything with one developer rather than having a whole team of developers, because he can actually build 80, 90% of the solution using AI. So there is an opportunity right now to monetize that is being missed by a lot of the technology workers right now, or the technology businesses right now, because they're so focused on themselves. Like, how do I use AI? Yeah, who cares? I don't care if you're using notebooks. You have to help your clients solve their problems and get paid, because that's the opportunity. The opportunity is to grow your business, to take better care of your employees, to pay better salaries, to pay yourself more. There's all this opportunity, and you don't want to miss it. And so this event is about that. It's going to be a full day of that. We're giving you lunch. It's going to be at Villanova University in Pennsylvania, June 17th, at the Villanova University Inn. And so it's a classroom style. It's also on Zoom. So that the reason why we do events at Villanova University Inn is because they have beautiful classrooms that are fully Zoom enabled with microphones everywhere. We don't even have to use a lavalier. You just walk around and talk, and everybody can hear you great, and it works really well. And you know what the really cool thing is? If you go to the sign
What's the Joe Cool factor? What's the Joe Cool
the
factor?
really cool factor is that if you go to the sign up page and you're signing up and you put the code ROY33, you get 33% off.
Oh, that's perfect.
Tell them why it's Roy33. Tell them why it's Roy33.
That's my gaming handle. So for all those 12-year-olds I play games against, yeah, I'm an old man.
So I'm super excited for it, because I think it's really going to give people an opportunity to not just build some tools and do some learning, but really understand how they can solve problems in their own business and how they can solve problems for others. I think it's going to be a really great, fun event.
That sounds like it's going to be an incredible event and a wonderful venue. And Joe's going to be there too. That's
Yeah,
great. And
I'll
where
be.
can I get one of those mugs? Where
I'll-
can I get one of those mugs? Oh, that's
you know what? We'll talk about that later. You're gonna
all right.
send me
Perfect.
some info, and I'm gonna send you some stuff.
Okay. Well, this has been a great conversation, Joe. I really appreciate how open, thoughtful, and honest you've been. Once I wrap these interview series up, I'll be putting together a highlight reel of key insights from all of our guests, and I'll definitely send one your way. And
Excellent.
we can find Joe on LinkedIn and his website, startgrowmanage.com.
Yeah.
And that's the official site for Start Growing Manage, the consulting firm Joe co-founded. Thanks again, Joe, and have yourself a fantastic day.
Thank you. Do the same.
Take care.